Rainbow recap, rainbow recap, rainbow recap.
Battlers! You know what it is, Jay Devin, back at it with another video. If you are new to the channel, welcome, subscribe if you feel my vibe, and power up and punch the notification bell for more PvP content. Today, we are going to be doing our Rainbow Tournament recap. We did ours early on in the month, so you can watch this content, you can view these battles, look at the strategies, and get some input when it comes to the competitive play in the tournament. Now, I did want to say a couple of things first before we start the whole tournament recap itself. So if you are here just for the battles, that's fine. Please refer to the timestamps in the pinned comments below. I will highlight all the battles in there. You can just skip to it. Go ahead and do it right now. First thing I want to say is thank you to the leadership and everybody who worked in putting this tournament together. Game Killer, as well as Fitz, 1K Fitz from our place here in Orem, Utah. You two did an amazing job at putting this tournament together. You got a solid venue. You put a lot of extra work and a lot of investment and a lot of thought into this tournament. It made it a really enjoyable experience, even for people who weren't that much into PvP, people who were new to the Silph arena scene. It was very well done, and thank you very much for doing that. They put together prizes. Okay, here's a couple of things to go over, right? You see it right there? Look at the the Pikachu light. How cool is that, dude? Rainbow Pikachu for the Rainbow Cup. And you can also probably see the pin obviously here. This was really a pain to get put on this hat. Also, you can see here, if you can't, I can also just put a picture up there. Lacrain, I don't know how to pronounce the gamer tag, the username, but they made badges for everybody, like badges with our names on it, so we can see each other's name tags. It was very well done. It wasn't just the little stick-on name tags. It was actual badges with the Silph Arena assets and design put on them, printed out. It came with the badge, the necklace, everything. It was so well done. One other thing we got was some Pokemon cards. I don't know if you can see this. It's probably too bright. Some Pokemon cards in a pack. It was so nostalgic. Now, my first pack I already opened, so not going to give any spoilers on that, but I want to crack this baby open right now and see if we get something good with it. There we go. Okay. I don't really have a alternate down-facing camera. I don't do box or card openings. That's not what this is. But I did want to share this as kind of an experience, to see for other people who are looking for ideas on their tournaments. Simple things like this you can do. Granted, it takes some extra investment. You have to pony up and put out the money. The first one I already saw, so I actually really like this one. I'm glad I got this. So we're gonna put these right up here. Charmander! Yes! Next one, what is that? Mankey? Yeah, that's Mankey. All right, I see you, Mankey. What is this? I don't know what this is. Lavender Town. Oh, Trainer Stadium. I don't play the TCG at all. This is not my scene. This used to be my scene when I was like 5 years old. It's really nostalgic. I love it. So again, thank you to you guys for doing those things and going above and beyond with your efforts to make the tournament enjoyable for all kinds of players. Good job. 2 thumbs up. But now we are going to go ahead and jump in on these battles so we can start doing our tournament recap. Again, when I do these videos, I'm just going to do general commentary. I've already watched these battles several times over, looking back on them for opportunities for myself or for the other players, so we can see not necessarily mistakes, but where there's opportunity for improvement. What could we have done better? What could I have done better? What could you have done better? The rankings for this tournament, there are some issues with Rainbow Cups all over the place. They're not showing up as ranked. Even though this was a ranked tournament, I opted for it to be ranked. The results of the rankings are not really reflected correctly on your cards or anything, so keep that in mind. Another thing too, before we get started real quick, sorry, I messed up. I messed up pretty bad. I tried to make it a thing for myself. Record every single battle. I didn't record the first one. So, what happened was, you have to be level 10 in Pokemon Go to battle, right? Somebody sitting next to us apparently was not level 10, so they couldn't even participate. And we had already started our battle. And I think that's also what had me stop the screen recording, is I was pretty sure we were going to stop that and then address that issue first, but for some reason we just decided to keep battling. Even though we were both distracted, even during the battles, we did end up winning. We took round 1. So we're going to start doing our coverage for this tournament recap on the second battle, the second round, which we did go up against Jon Snow. He's a very competitive, very dedicated, very smart player, and he's beat us in tournament play before. And one thing I noticed right off the bat after the shiny check, right, is he had the same team that I did. Copy and paste, the same team. I decided I didn't want to analyze too much. I didn't want to think too much, just lead with my gut. What I ended up doing is I was like, okay, I'm just going to lead with Fortress. It felt safe. He ended up doing the same thing. And here's opportunity number one, I think, is I go straight for the Rock Tomb. It wouldn't have taken me that much more energy to go for the Earthquake because he didn't shield it, and I didn't shield it either. He got to Earthquake a little quicker than I anticipated. What is that? Only two or three more bug bites to get to Earthquake compared to Rock Tomb. So we go into the Quag. He does the smart play at this point. He also switches into his Quag. I get the Earthquake off unshielded, so I'm like, okay, maybe I can make a comeback at this point. So I decide to use a shield. Going for the Stone Edge, he uses another shield. I'm thinking, okay, he really does not want me to get rid of his Quagsire at this point. Either that, or he wants me to use another shield. I'm like, you know what, it's fine. I can build this energy up, invest in my other shield, and see what he has coming out next, which is a Venusaur. And that makes sense. He wanted me to get rid of my shields so the Venusaur could destroy me. Luckily, I built up enough energy that we're just able to get rid of the Venusaur with our charge moves that were built up on our Quag. So there's GG's. We did a smart play there. And we're not at a huge advantage at this point. We're able to get off the Thunderbolt, which does give us the win, but that could have gone either way, really. You know, the plays were there. He's a very smart player. It felt a little risky at the time to use that shield on the Quagsire. But leading with my gut, I'm also trying to play with my gut more, just to trust my instincts as a battler. And something just told me in the moment, use your next shield on this Quagsire. Don't take the Earthquake, don't take the damage, shield it, and keep building up the energy. And it paid off. Trust your instincts. And more important above all, just keep practicing. I practiced probably more realistically. I practiced competitively more for the Rainbow Cup than I have any other cup so far. And I think that's why I was so much more satisfied with my results as well as my performance during the Rainbow Cup, is because I felt confident with my practice. Now, I did want to switch it up. He does the same thing. We have the same teams and apparently the same strategies right now for the Rainbow Cup. He leads with the Charizard, so did we. He goes for the Dragon Claw first. I'm just going for the Blast Burn because either he's going to shield it or he's going to, lose his Charizard at this point. So he did kind of a smart play in the moment. He decides to shield it. He swaps out once I bring in the Azumarill. That's probably the safest thing for him to do at that point. I don't know what his third Pokemon is. So I was like, okay, I'm going to shield this Frenzy Plant, switch out again to my Venusaur after we build up a little bit of energy on the Azumarill. And we're able to get rid of his Venusaur with the Frenzy Plant. Use the Frenzy Plant in this scenario. It's going to reserve you more energy. So if you end up in a situation like this, I don't know why it didn't go off. I was clicking it. Apparently I died before I was able to register the charge move. But now we're at the Azumarill versus Charizard. That ends quickly, but we're definitely going to lose this matchup at this point. We have the Azumarill left. He's got the Fortress. We can deal, neutral damage. Azumarill is a tank, but he has the straight up shield advantage, and his Fortress was at full health. So there's like, what are we going to do about it, right? Just take the L and move on. His team comp took that match. So going into round 3, I won battle 1, match 1, round 1, I don't know, against Game Killer. And now the heat's turning up a little bit because I'm like, I need to keep this streak going. We have the same teams. Apparently so far he thinks like I think a little bit, so I gotta do something a little different. I don't think I ended up doing anything that different, to be honest. But it ended up being a really good match. The practice definitely paid off, and I knew towards the end of that last battle, as soon as he brought out that Fortress and he still had a shield, it was done. There's really not much I could do. So I knew we had to go to game 3. And we're getting into it now. No, I led with the, okay, I led with the Fortress again. So there's that. I wanted to catch him if he decides to open up with the Venusaur this time. Unfortunately, he beats us on the lead. He opens the Zard. I got to switch out as soon as possible. I got to get out of there. I don't want to deal with the Zard. I don't want to take the fire spin damage. It can destroy Fortress. So he gets off the Frenzy Plant. Now I let it go unshielded because he is switched into this Venusaur at this point, and I still have this Fortress that I just switched out of. So we're going to farm him. Now with Venusaur at kind of full health versus the Fortress, those Frenzy Plants are still pretty scary. I wanted to shield at least one, so I had something that I could possibly do with my Fortress, barring another matchup. Now he brings in his Fortress. I switch out to the Quag. This isn't really insanely ideal or not ideal for both of us. It's kind of neutral, but I can get to my charge moves so much faster than Fortress can get to their charge moves. I believe we invest in this other shield. We don't want to take any more damage from this Fortress. Unfortunately, he gets off a Rock Tomb, doesn't do much, doesn't really take us out. So we're going for the Stone Edge, say GG's Fortress, get out of here. I don't like you anymore. Now he gets off the Dragon Claw. He could have just fire spinned us, but he decides to go for the Dragon Claw anyway, and it ends just like that. Now, he could have won that. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I asked him, he said, well, you had enough energy for 2 Rock Tombs. I think he might have just forgotten that he had another shield, because I'm pretty sure he would have fire spinned me out of there before I was able to get to another Rock Tomb. I don't know. Somebody else look into that. What do you think? Give me your opinion on it. But it did kind of seem to me like he was a little distracted and that maybe he just forgot that he had another shield. Like I said it right after the battle was over. I was like, you had another shield, dude. So yeah, I feel like we kind of got lucky. I mean, we played well, but I definitely feel like we got lucky on taking that second one. So now we're going in against Frampty Pants, which, by the way, Frampty Pants, he's the one who gave all these pins. He bought badges as well as pins to give to everybody. Thank you for doing that, man. Now we have this Quag. We're going to be switching out for our Quag. I kind of prefer this matchup at this point because he's only thrown a Stone Edge. Now I'm kind of wondering, how is he using his Quag? I ended up opting for Earthquake and Stone Edge on mine, not only for the mirror match, but also potentially for the Fortress matchup and other things. Earthquake is just going to do so much damage, and you got to have the Stone Edge for the Charizard, right? Now we're able to get rid of this Slowbro. He did practice with me a little bit in using this Slowbro, and in practice, he did very well. I'm kind of scared of the Slowbro, but that's why I used the team comp that I did, is so we could be prepared for something like this. So he's able, I'm pretty sure he gets rid of our Fortress here. That's Gonzo, GG's, but now we have the Lantern sitting in the back, and I was like, oh no, it's Earthquake. But it wasn't! It was Acid Spray! He's trying to cheese me, dude! So we're able to take game 1, as you can see. There's clearly no way around it. Our team composition ended up doing a lot of favors for us in that first battle against Frampty Pants. Again, this is another very competitive player. Frampty Pants went undefeated in regionals, 5-0. That's nuts. This dude knows his stuff. He's a very skilled battler. He's very patient. He also takes his time to think out his strategies. And I was pretty shocked that I actually won. You know, this is the strategy that's kind of worked out. I've used this team a few times already, and I'll use it in the future for the rest of this tournament recap video. But I do Fortress and then double water, typically. Sometimes I've used Charizard, but what's felt comfortable for me, and I feel like what performed really well, is opening with Fortress that has Rock Tomb and Earthquake. If you need to switch out, then do so. But then having Lantern and or Azumarill, but definitely Quagsire. Because if I need to switch out, right, if they open up with Fire, I'm going to be safe switching into something that is hands down going to be a huge threat to their Charizard. And then at that point, they should be more inclined to switch into a Water. And just like I did a couple battles ago, I will let the Frenzy Plant go unshielded. They use their energy. I'm down a Pokemon, but then I can bring in the Fortress, and then I rely on whatever is left over to win the match. Basically was my strategy, I guess. I don't know what you call it. Double water Fortress memes. I don't know. You guys tell me that in the comments. You guys make that one up. But he brings out the lantern. Now you can see I'm kind of scared at this point. I do have a shield left over. He has no shields. True. But this lantern is a threat to the whole rest of my team, and it's basically at full health. So I shield the first Thunderbolt. I know it's a Thunderbolt, obviously. I don't know why you would use Hydro Pump against an Azumarill. But we're able to get off 2 play roughs, which that did us a lot of favors. Now he's kind of forced at this point to use the Thunderbolt to get rid of our Azumarill. And I was trying to get to this Ice Beam. I pressed it. Didn't happen quick enough. But now it's Zard versus Zard. But he is down in HP. So he gets off this Blast Burn first. But it doesn't KO us. We're able to get to our Zard with our Blast Burn and KO his Charizard. So that was pretty well played. Again, that could have gone either way. I think at the end of the day, that did come down to team comp and me reserving a shield that I could use with my Azumarill. Even though Azumarill's a tank, don't overestimate it, right? Team comp can always come into play, and if they have just the better matchups based on their team comp, like triple water, double grass, double fire, I've seen all kinds of things. Reserve shields. Don't be afraid to let your Pokemon die, but that is based on your own team composition and your own team strategy, right? And that's why you practice. Now these were the probably the best battles I've ever had, right? So we'll go over in his lineup in a minute, but he opens up with this Feraligatr. I had never practiced against anybody who used a Feraligatr. So I'm thinking, okay, but look how much damage it does. My mistake number 1 was using both shields. That was his strategy. He's putting as much pressure and as much damage as he can early on so that the rest of his team can take care of me. That's why he has the Fortress sitting in the back, as well as the Meganium. You know, potentially his team's pretty weak to fire, but I typically didn't like to use fire, right? My strategy was going to be Fortress and then double water, whether it's Lantern or Azumarill, but also Quagsire. So GG's to game 1. I'm still kind of racking my brain over this strategy a little bit. I don't know exactly what you did, Ben, to come up with this this team or this strategy, but please, whatever you did, like, share it with us. Share the strategies. What do you do? How did you think of putting this team together? He said towards the beginning of the tournament, I'm using my all shiny team, and I was like, okay, that's great. But he had a clear strategy behind this. Yeah, here you can see his team and his lineup: Azumarill, Fortress, Feraligatr, Jolteon, Charizard, and then Meganium. So one thing I noticed as well is he ended up using Meganium, which is different, very different. A lot of people argue that Venusaur is strictly better than Meganium, and that's debatable, but because it depends on the matchup and it depends on your strategy, right? He opens up with the Feraligatr again, dude. I was counting on him not doing it, so he brings out this Meganium. That was a mistake right there. I think I should have reserved that energy before I swapped out, because I have the Charizard I can swap into. I don't know why I tried to get off the Earthquake, especially when it's not very effective. That was definitely a waste of energy. So we are able to double Dragon Claw. He didn't even see this coming. He said, I didn't think you had enough energy to do a double Dragon Claw, so we are able to get both shields out of him, which worked out for the better, I guess, in the turnout of this battle here. So I went into the Quag. My gut told me to. Obviously, Venusaur would have been a better choice, but we ended up just going with the Quag anyway. So brings out his next Mon. Turns out it is a Fortress. So I was kind of grateful at this point that I went for the Quag first, because we're able to get off that Earthquake and do massive damage. And this is where our play kind of came through for us, I guess, a little bit. Is he's so low on energy at this point that even though he can basically farm us, we're going to win this matchup by a hair. Do you see how close that was? My palms were sweating. Literally, my palms were sweating at this point. I was like, oh my goodness. This is, in our area, I'm pretty sure WX30 Ben is the highest ranked player in the arena. And I won a battle against him. So now we're going for another best of 3, and my nerves are shot. So I decided to take a breather. I jump out of the app for a second. I look at his team. I look at it and I'm like, okay, what should I do this time? We were basically very lucky to have won with that Venusaur. That was so close. And I'm really hoping we can pull out another clutch victory for the third battle, right? My nerves were definitely up there. My heart was pumping so fast. It was really intense, you know, because I'd won a lot of matches so far. And then going up against the best, I have to bring my best to the table. Now, I don't know exactly why I wanted to lead with Charizard. He's led with Feraligatr 2 times. Charizard would be a terrible choice. But maybe he's counting on that, right? That's what my thought was. It's the mind games. There's really no way around this. I'm pretty sure it happens with everybody. It's not that you choke or you think too much or you're a nervous wreck. It's competitive play, right? You have to analyze things and you have to follow your gut. You have to have practiced a lot. You have to know the matchups. You have to know how to gain the advantage. So what I ended up doing actually was leading with the Lantern. And I was right. He led with Feraligatr again. So he switches out immediately, which was a good play. We're going straight for the Thunderbolt up against his Fortress. I don't want to deal with the Fortress. Get it out of here. Force a shield or let me do some damage. So he gets off a Rock Tomb. I do shield it. I was counting on it being Earthquake. I don't think he saved too much energy by going for Rock Tomb, but he's able to get off another one. We just end up going for a Rock Tomb. In retrospect, yeah, no, that was fine to have gone for the Rock Tomb at that point because we did have the health advantage, so it is what it is. Now he brings out an Azumarill. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go for the Earthquake. Either he's going to shield it or he's not. And then I'm going to bring out this Lantern again as soon as it comes out. So he ends up bringing in the Feraligatr. We're going for the Quag. We don't have any shields. We got to take the Hydro Cannon to the face, but we do throw off the Stone Edge, which essentially eliminates him. But he is left over with a little bit of health. And this is where I think he took things. He had a crunch built up. He's able to get rid of our Fortress before he can really do anything. Then his Azumarill comes right back in. He saved his shield. He already got off a Play Rough because he had energy built up. Even though I get off the Thunderbolt, he just has the shield. There's really nothing I can do. What I think I could have done better in these matches, what could have possibly gotten me the win, is not shielding with my Fortress. I think things could have gone a lot better because what I really needed to save my shields for was that Lantern, not the Fortress. But yeah, it was a good game, good matches, very well done by both of us. He's a very, very skilled player, very talented, and he had a clear strategy. He led with Feraligatr every time. He's putting the pressure on. He has his process down. He knows it's accountable. He knows the Waterfall does so much damage and the Hydro Cannon's going to put on that shield pressure. Then he has Crunch for clutch situations like that where it doesn't take as much energy as Hydro Cannon, but it can potentially still have him win a matchup with Feraligatr because Crunch is going to be pretty neutral to a lot of things in this meta. So it was very well played. I was very impressed. I think that was my first time actually battling against WX30 Ben in tournament play. And now I see why he's so legendary. Very smart plays. He had a process down. Very well done. I try to play things more by my gut, which does kind of work for me. He seems a little more data driven and test driven from the way things went. And also on top of that, he shiny flexed on everybody. His team was all shinies. He won undefeated the Rainbow Cup. It was a pretty big Rainbow Cup too. For our area at least, it was pretty big. And he did it with all shinies. So kudos, dude. Congratulations. Now, going into this last matchup for this tournament recap video, it is going to be against High Dutch. I don't know if it's High Dutch or High Duck. Pretty sure it's High Dutch. Hey Dutch. Who Dutch? I don't know. But we're going in for this last battle. We did have some lag issues in this first battle, but the matchups and I think the anticipated results were very clear. So we both decided, you know, even though there was the lag, like, there's no way it would have turned out differently even if there wasn't lag towards the end. So he opens up with the Quag. I open up with the Fortress again. I felt safe doing it. I still kind of feel safe doing it. He's able to get to Earthquake before we are. I probably should have shielded. I didn't feel the need to though because I was almost to my Earthquake. And I feel like people are more inclined to not shield when you don't shield. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a mind game thing, but that's just one thing I've noticed in my practice. Let me know if you've noticed that too. But now he has the lantern. Obviously, our optimal choice is going to be going in with the Quag. Now, here's what I did a little differently. I know he has to shield. He has to, or that lantern's gone. So I do the more smart, not the smarter play, I guess, the more energy efficient play, and I just go for the Stone Edge, because it'll still do a bit of damage if it goes unshielded, or it's going to force the shield. I don't feel like it's a waste at all. But he did end up shielding it, so what we did, as you can see, is we swapped out to our lantern, because we have the advantage with the energy at this point that we know we're going to win this mirror match. So we take that. There's not really much left for the lantern to do. Lantern did its duty. It did a good job. But now he has this Charizard. You can see the lag. He wasn't even attacking. Took me a second to notice. And he's like, "Are you getting lag?" And I said, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I mean, I have a Stone Edge ready to go with my Quagsire. And, you know, this Lantern's going to do a lot of damage too." Realistically, I don't think there was any way that battle specifically would have been a different outcome. So, we both just kind of agreed. I wanted to restart the app. I don't know what was causing the lag, but I restarted it just to be safe. But we both just kind of agreed, yeah, you know, I'll take the win for that one. We'll just move on to the next battle. So thank you for doing that. Some people might have asked us to replay the battle or do it all over again, but this helped save time because we were on a big time crunch with this venue too. So that was pretty good. Now, going into the next battle, I wanted to just lead with the Fortress again. It feels safe, but he kind of seemed a little... I kind of got the vibe a little bit that he was going to anticipate the Fortress lead again. So I was almost second guessing my strategy on leading with Fortress. I was thinking maybe I should open up with something different. Something that's maybe going to be an excellent counter to Charizard. So we did end up switching the strategy a little bit. Essentially the same team, just a different open. Worst case scenario, I think, from what I felt, is he opens up with a Venusaur and we switch out right away to Fortress, and he either sticks in with the matchup or he switches out, in which case I would probably just let the Fortress go down. Maybe not, depends. Might use one shield with the Fortress. But he did, actually. We kind of read that very well. He opens up with the Venusaur, so we switch in right away to the Fortress, but he didn't switch into Fire. I'm confused. Did he not? I don't think he brought Charizard for this last battle. So we are going to be using the shield. He didn't use the shield to protect his Quagsire, so we're going to take advantage of that. This is the tournament. This isn't just practice battles or battles for fun. I want to win. So we're going straight for the Earthquake against the Lantern. That also goes unshielded. Maybe he was just counting on me trying to shield bait. I'm not exactly sure. But he doesn't use any shields for most of the battle. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just let the Quag die. You use your energy. I'm going to come back in with this Fortress. I don't want to take a Frenzy Plant to the face. That will pretty much KO me at this point. So I'm going for the Rock Tomb. In retrospect, I probably should have just gone for the Earthquake. I don't think I could have gotten to any other charge moves again. So it gets off the Frenzy Plant. The pressure's on, but we are able to Water Gun the Venusaur out of here. It had almost nothing left, and then we Water Gun the rest of it away. So... It was pretty heated. It felt kind of weird. I was kind of confused as to why High Dutch didn't use shields. Seemed like maybe he had some different strategy up his sleeve, so it had me thinking during the battle. But maybe he was just counting on me trying to shield bait. I'm not exactly sure. But what I took away from watching those battles again was don't be afraid to use your shield. Even if, you know, they could potentially be trying to shield bait you, don't be afraid to save your Pokemon. Because even if they are baiting, at the end of the day, they're still going to be using energy for that. And unless you're swap locked into that matchup, you have opportunity, again, based on your team composition, to switch out to another Pokemon. And the whole battle could play out differently, right? But that was it for the Rainbow Cup tournament recap. I did go 4-1. Its effect on my rankings aren't correct at this point. There's some kind of simple error. I'm sure the Silph team is working on it and trying to find a solution. Yeah, I'm really hoping the rankings turn out to be a lot better for me. Real quick, if you're still here at this point in the video, I want to make 3 main points and what I learned from this tournament, and hopefully, you know, 3 main points that you can also take away from my tournament and from this video. Number 1, practice as much as you can. There are so many different resources. You can find local players who like to practice. I'm sure you already have some. If you're not already on the Go Stadium Discord or even the Battle Park, go check them out. The links to both of them are in the description below. People there love to battle. They love to practice. Use those resources if you're not already using them. Next, when it comes to shield play, whether to use or to not use a shield, there is a way to know for sure what a charge move is. And this is something that I never really thought about before, but now it seems so obvious. You can count your opponent's charge moves when they're using them, keep track of how many they are using, even count as you're playing, so you can know for sure if they are actually able to get off an Earthquake, or if they are actually able to get off a Blast Burn. Those are things I need to know, so I'm going to start doing that. But that's something definitely to take away from this, is you can lose battles and you can lose tournaments on improper shielding. So keep that in mind. Number 3, shout out to Ben. Do not be afraid to experiment with different Pokemon in the cup and to try different things out, because I know we all keep an eye on the meta, whether it's Reddit, other people's tournaments, you know, what teams are they using when they're winning, or if we're just watching YouTubers and whatnot, what are they doing that's successful? That's great. Those are solid strategies. It's proven to work, but don't be afraid to use your own thing, because that's exactly what Ben did with his all shiny team, and he went undefeated at this Rainbow Cup. So again, GG's Ben. GG's to the battles and GG's to the video, because it's over. If you enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you feel my vibe. Power up, punch the notification bell for more PvP content. But that's it for this Rainbow Cup video. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good freaking day.